Hey everybody, Josh Ronquist here to talk about another week of Out Today and What I Missed for March 21st, 2025. This week we got 20 brand new album reviews and a staggering 14 albums that are out today. It's been a great week for promos in my emails, and the other 6 are stuff that I've missed along the way, but equally as good. So no more time to dilly-dally, let's just get into this. First up, we have Averst with Erasure of Color. This is a sophomore album from this Boston outfit, and it has Album of the Year material written all over it. It combines some of my favorite elements of melodic death metal and progressive death metal combined. It just can get into this heavy and very brutal atmosphere, while on the turn of a dime, it hits some of the most melodic and beautiful soundscapes that you can imagine in either one of these genres. Imagine Soilwork, Vintersea, and The Agonist all combined together to create some of the best progressive and mellow death that you're going to hear all year. I love what this album has to offer, and if you're interested in what progressive mellow death is all about, check this one out. Next up, we have Cradle of Filth with The Screaming of the Valkyries. Can you believe this is the band's 16th album in 31 years? It's astounding to think about how their first LP came out when I was in kindergarten. That feels wrong to me. But I'll tell you what doesn't feel wrong. This album. Somehow, Cradle of Filth has written one of their catchiest albums to date while never losing that symphonic and gothic black metal that put them on the map. Like, so much of this album does kind of remind me of Nymphamphetamine, but it's also a bit more commercial than that. But again, it doesn't lose that symphonic and gothic metal sound to it, and it feels so very authentic. This feels exactly what Danny Filth and company wanted to write. And if you couldn't tell that by the singles, I don't know what to tell you. And I'll honestly say, I like this direction that they're going into. I love when they get more off the wall. I love when they get more grandiose, but sometimes you just want something a little more laid back and simple, and that's what this album is, while still sounding like Cradle of Filth, and it easily has some of their best material to date. Next up, we have Dissociate with To Lift the Veil. This is a debut album featuring members of Persephone and Wormed, two very, very different bands, but they're able to come together to create some progressive death metal and synthwave combined together. Like, this is progressive metal, some of the most extreme metal, and synthwave combined. All the instrumentation is done by Daniel R. Flies of Persephone, and the vocals are done by Gabriel Valsazar of Wormed, and I think they're an excellent combination together. It's quite the mind trip, especially when you hear all of these great brutal moments that are going on, mixed in with the progressive death metal, and then all of a sudden you start hearing these synthwave moments. You almost feel like you might have gotten a bad copy of the album or something, but no, this is what they intended, and the more that you listen to it, the more that it makes sense. If you're not big into genre bending, you're probably not going to be into this one. For everyone else, if you like brutal, if you like extreme, you want that in your progressive death metal, but you also want a little bit of synthwave thrown in, check this one out. Now we have Euphrosine with Morris. This is a debut album from this Greek outfit that really is just blowing me away. Post-black and doom metal mixed together. I just find it to be an excellent combination, and I love what they're doing here. Like, they really know how to hit the dark, evil moments of black metal, but they can also mix it up with some post-metal elements, some doom metal elements, and they also know how to mix in the right amount of post-black in there and post-rock going on with all of it. Like, if I had to describe it, imagine Oceans of Slumber meets Rotting Christ meets Cult of Luna. If this sounds intriguing to you at all, you need to give this one a shot. This is such an amazing discovery. I'm so glad that this came out, and again, Greece has some of the best metal bands out there that you might not be thinking about, so seriously, if you want a winning combination, check this one out. Up now we have Gates to Hell with Death Comes to All, the sophomore album from this Louisville, Kentucky band. It's my first exposure to the band, but I really dig what they're doing. It really has that 2020s death metal sound, and I'm thinking of bands like Fuming Mouth and Creeping Death and Zalba. Like, if you like those bands, I think you're gonna really appreciate what Gates to Hell is all about. And wouldn't you know it, this is just a monster of an album that completely flies by. You don't believe me? It's 10 songs and it's 21 minutes long. It is a rager. Like, they could do this whole album in its entirety for an opening set, blow everyone away, and still have some songs left over if they wanted to, or just do this 21 minutes, expand it to 25 minutes, and you're good to go. Get all of your aggression out on this one. This is one of the most heavy of the death metal and hardcore bands of 2025. Up now we got Goddard with Stereo Crush. 14 albums since 1992 for this long-running Swiss band, and that's no easy accomplishment to be able to pull off. It is also no easy accomplishment to be able to continue making some of the finest quality hard rock in all of that time as well. The latest outing from this band combines all of the best moments of the band, the rockin' anthems, the slowed-down heartfelt songs, and everything in between. Combine that with an awesome and authentic production quality, and you have a way to be able to make everyone shine on this album, and still be able to make one of the best hard rock albums of 2025. You know what you're getting from the band at this point, and that should be no surprise considering they've been at it for 23 years, but it is quality from start to finish, and that's what truly matters. Seriously, any kind of hard rock fan needs to check this one out. It is a pure winner from start to finish. Up now we have Imperial Triumphant with Gold Star. The leaders of American Black and Jazz are back with their 6th offering, and it is some of their most intriguing work to date. Somehow, they are able to write some of their most thought-provoking music while also writing some of their most commercial music at the same time. It absolutely makes no sense when you look at it on paper, but they pull it off in execution. And of course, to a lot of people, this is just random noise. And I totally understand that if you're not into jazz, if you're not into black metal, or especially blackened jazz. But this combines the best of black metal, tech death, and jazz all rolled into one. And if you're not familiar with the band, but you want to be able to hear some outside influences that might get you into the band, Thomas Hawk of Meshuggah and Dave Lombardo make guest appearances on this album, although Thomas is doing vocals on this album. Yeah, you read that right. And Dave Lombardo is doing some Latin percussion and drumming on this one as well. So you need to have more of an eclectic taste on this one, but I seriously think that this is one of the best avant-garde albums of 2025. Regardless, it is safe to say that Imperial Triumphant will always stay true to who they are, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Up now we have Katla with Scandinavian Pain. This is a debut album from this Danish band that is a real stunning display of sludge, stoner, and doom metal all rolled into one dark package. It can get as heavy as the most extreme moments of Inter Arma and Primitive Man. It can get as sludgy as a band like Rake, who I just talked about last week, and it hits on the stoner side of bands like Neurosis and Weed Eater. If you dig those styles, this is a band that you need in your life. The production is just as raw but clear and audible as it should be, which is just what you need for this style, as I just said. The lyrics are quite depressing to say the least. Like, this covers Scandinavian pain through and through. Like, you know, Scandinavia is like an area that goes like through some of the most deepest, darkest depression in the entire world, mainly due to weather and also outside influences, but I really think they covered what it's like to deal with all that depression and all that comes from. This is an album with a message as well. Maybe not a cure on how to end it, but sometimes it just helps to have an album that is relatable. And whether you're a Scandinavian citizen or not, I think we can all relate to that in 2025. If you want to hear that message in a sludgy, stonerish, doomish way, check this band out. Next up, we have Lordi with Limited Deadition. In what is technically their 19th album for this long-running Finnish band, they did release a collection a few years ago of 7 brand new albums, so yeah, technically 19 albums. Lordi has returned with one of the most diverse albums in their catalog. It's hard to keep up to date with every single style that they've ever done, especially if you haven't checked out every single album and known that they've changed sounds, but knowing what they're doing here with a mix of heavy metal and AOR mixed together, like, this is not the Lordi that I remember from years gone by. Like, they've changed things up, and I love the fact that they have become so diverse in their sound. Like, you never know what you're gonna get on every album. You never get the same Lordi album twice, and you wouldn't think that from a band like this, but it's so true. The production on this album makes it feels like it was made in 1987, but it was remixed and remastered in 2025. And have I mentioned how really catchy this album is? Because it truly is. As you may have noticed with my reviews lately, I've been trying to cover some AOR every week, as I really do love the genre, and I'm so glad to see a band like Lordi is continuing to do this. Like, they hinted at it and did more of it on their last album, but here they're adding some metal tinges to it, which I think is just the perfect combination. And if you want to hear AOR and metal mixed together through the filter of Lordi, check this one out. Next up, and I do apologize for my pronunciations of both the band name and the album title, I swear I'm trying, is Night Wind with Telluria. This is the fourth album from a French pagan metal band that feels like the most authentic Scandinavian pagan metal that I've heard all year. And it's been a great year for some pagan metal, let me tell ya. This sounds like the best of Erebalter, Enslaved, and Unleashed, all thrown together, add just even more folky elements into it at the right moments. Lots of great clean elements going on through it as well, and of course those blackened elements that make it that real pagan black metal that we all know and love. Despite this being from France, it really does feel like it's from the deepest, darkest forests of Scandinavia. This is for any kind of pagan metal fan. Maybe not a Pagan's Mind fan, but a pagan metal fan. I can't imagine you wouldn't find anything to love about this one if you are a pagan fan. This is just how the genre of pagan black metal should be made. Up now we have Orc with Firehose of Falsehoods. And let me tell you, this is my first foray into this band, but I am quite mesmerized by what I'm hearing, and I think I'm gonna have to go back and check out what these guys are all about. It's Soundgarden meets Tool meets Riverside meets Porcupine Tree in this weird but very intriguing mix of prog rock and alternative metal. Like, to break it down even further, like imagine the In Absentia or Deadwing era of Porcupine Tree mixed with Super Unknown by Soundgarden, and that's what you have here. It's like progressive alternative rock, and that is such a weird thing to be thinking about. And hey, even John Wesley, who was a part of the touring lineup of Porcupine Tree, even makes an appearance on this one. And wouldn't you know it, he's in Vertical Horizon these days. I truly enjoy their take on what they're doing with these styles, and I can't wait to go back and check out their past catalog. If you think you might dig this one, I think you will. Give it a shot. Now we have Skullforge with Cosmic Crusade Chronicles. Stories from never mind. Whoa. This is the power speed metal album of 2025, and I don't say that lightly, as power metal has made a triumphant return in 2025. But this is everything that I love about power metal and speed metal thrown together, and easily the best album of the year so far for these genres. And I can't imagine that there's going to be any band to knock it off that platform. This album does not let up at all. It is pure speed-driven power metal with just enough tongue-in-cheek moments that'll make you smile from ear to ear. I mean, just look at the album title. If you can't get a giggle out of that, I don't think you have a soul. This is what got me into power metal in the first place when I was discovering it back in high school. The speed, the double bass, the fun of it all, everything combined. This album couldn't be more fun if it tried, and it's easily going to be one of my favorite power metal albums of the year. This year just seems to be getting worse and worse, darker and darker. Every time you turn on the news, things just keep getting crappier and crappier. We need an album that's fast, fun, and makes us forget about all of our troubles for just a little while. That is this album. I love this album, and power metal fan or not, I think you might as well. Now we have Soul Demise with Against the Abyss. 7 albums in the past quarter century from this German melodeath band is some of the most incredible work, and yeah, Against the Abyss is some of the best work this band has ever done. With an obvious love of 90s Gothenburg melodeath, I mean, you can hear so much at the gates in this, it's not even funny, but they also combine it with enough contemporary melodeath band sounds, and that has a lot to do with lineup changes and new members and new influences, but I think that is absolutely for the best. This is my kind of melodeath, and it's done with such an authenticity. You can tell this is what the band wants to make. It feels like a modern, but a throwback style of melodeath, and we need to welcome that in 2025. And if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you need the latest offering from Soul Demise. And up now, finally, the last album that I'm covering that is out today is from Withersake with At War with Their Divinity. This is some absolutely killer stuff from the sophomore album from this DC band, which is the backing band for the band Sardonic Witchery. If you've ever heard them before, you might kind of get what this band is all about, but they're really doing their own thing here. It's symphonic, blackened death metal done with such a prestige to it that I love it so very, very much. There's just enough of that symphonic blackened elements going on, but there's this death metal attitude throughout all of it that just makes it simply work. The production is a bit raw, and in the right spots, and the overall atmosphere of it all makes it all tie together. And of course, the musicianship that it requires to be in a band like Sardonic Witchery really shows what this band can do with Withersake. The musicianship, again, on display is just spectacular. If you want a mix of Dimmu, Septic Flesh, and Hypocrisy, this is the band for you. And now for everything that I've missed. And wouldn't you know it, again, there's only 6 albums that I've missed in the past week that I'm covering, starting with the band Accident with Endless Devastation. This is the debut album of a Belgian thrash band that just combines my favorite moments of that late 80s thrash sound, but it's mixed in with just enough 21st century crossover thrash, and it just feels like it's done in the right way. Like, this still feels like an album that came out in 1988, 89, maybe even 90, but it was unearthed in 2025. 8 songs, just about 34 minutes, and it's just that mixture of Testament, Death Angel, Toxic, and some Municipal Waste thrown in for good measure. If you want a good mix of that, you need to check out Accident. Now we have Coheed and Cambria with Vaxis, Act 3, Father of All Make-Believe. And, you know, it's funny when it comes to me, this band has had 11 albums since 2002. I'm so familiar with Coheed and Cambria in my past. I know Joey Eppard of the band 3, who happens to be Josh Eppard's brother. I played a show with him. We jammed together. It was awesome. But still, through all of this time, I've never really truly gotten into Coheed, and there's absolutely no reason for that. I've loved everything that I've heard from them. They've just never become a band that I've really gotten into for whatever reason. Well, this album has actually made me decide to actually go back and check out the other 10 albums that I feel like I've really missed out on. Yeah, I've covered albums in the past, but I need to go back and really truly appreciate them. This one did that for me. Is it their best stuff that I've ever heard? I wouldn't really say that, no. Like, it does have the Coheed stuff that I do like about them, the prog rock, the hard rock, the alternative stuff, and the emo sound, but they also start to incorporate some stuff that I haven't heard them kind of do before. Like, there's a little more electronic moments going on here, there's some indie rock moments going on here, some garage rock stuff that probably isn't really my bag, but when Coheed does it, I don't have a problem with it. I enjoy what they're doing. And yeah, I do like the heavier stuff that they did, I like the more emo stuff that they had done, so this is a bit of a left turn from what I would normally imagine from them, but I need to go back and check out the rest of their stuff. I know a lot of people have been not really keen on this album, but this is the album that's making me want to go back and appreciate Coheed. So if a band like this, who can tour with a band like Between the Buried and Me, and then go and tour with a band like Taking Back Sunday, and you don't question either of those choices, I think they're doing something right. This is some stellar stuff, and I can't wait to look back at this album at the end of the year and see what my real true thoughts are on it. And in that time, yeah, I need to go back and check out Coheed. Now we have Deha with Nethermost and Absolute Comfort. And now we're getting to what a lot of people know me for, Funeral Doom. Yes, there hasn't been a lot of Funeral Doom that has come out this year, mainly because it's mid-March, and a lot of Funeral Doom comes out in the second half of the year, mainly in the dark, spooky time of October. But that doesn't stop Deha from putting out music whenever he feels like it. Don't believe me? This one-man project started in 2018, and this is the 38th LP. Not including EPs, not including splits, not including singles. This is the 38th LP, and this isn't even his only band. I can't even imagine what it's like to write that much music in 7 years and still have it sound authentic, never sounding the same, and still having its own spin on everything. This band has gone through so many different formations, from black metal to drone, funeral doom, mixing all of those genres together and incorporating some other stuff as well. It's not only flabbergasting the quality and quantity of this music, but it's just fantastic to see that it constantly changes from album to album. You never know what you're going to get next. And this time around, it is that pure, unadulterated funeral doom in its deepest, darkest form. It's slow, brutal, depressing, and it makes you feel like you're sinking into the grave. There's only 2 songs on here, and it's an hour and 12 minutes, so yeah, that's funeral doom in a nutshell. It will tear your soul apart in just the right ways, and maybe not the best album if you're mentally struggling, unless you're looking for an album that is feeling as dark as you are and you just need something to relate to, then yeah, jump on this one immediately. But for a band like Deha, there's no right way to start with something like this because of the genre changes, because you never know what you're going to get on any particular album, and also 38 LPs in 7 years. It all depends on what your tastes in music are, but if you like Funeral Doom, I think this is an absolutely great album to start off with for the band. And again, did I mention this is not his only active band? How? Just frickin' how? Now we have Dione with Astrolatry. This is another debut album, and technically it came out back last Saturday, So maybe I could have included it in last week's Out Today and What I Missed, but it did come out one day later, so I'm kind of anal about that stuff, and I wanted to have 20 albums this week, so, deal with it. And you should also deal with this album because it is a one-man band from Poland that is doing some unrelenting, raw, beautiful, and cosmic black metal. It feels like such a nightmare of H.P. Lovecraft proportions in all the right ways. It's 8 songs, a little over 32 minutes, but it's my kind of cosmic and raw black metal thrown together. It can win over the most true and cult of black metal elitist. Trust me, just go into this one. But with enough intrigue to bring in other kinds of black metal fans as well too. Like, I don't think all Hardcore for the Sky fans are gonna be into Life Lover, and vice versa. When you close your eyes and listen, it feels like you're trapped in the horrors of outer space, just like I mentioned with the H.P. Lovecraft references, and you're about to be devoured by the void, or the great old ones, whatever happens first. If that ever happens to you, I think this will be the soundtrack that you should put on, but just in case it don't, I still think it's an awesome display of how to do raw and gritty black metal in 2025, but still with enough authenticity to not sound like it's ripping off the early days of the genre. Give this one a shot if you dare. It gives you hope that in one of the most evil genres in music, that you can still put out quality music. Now we have Downpour with Where There Is Life, There Is Hope. Once you know what, this is another debut album this week, but this time from the UK, and I didn't realize I needed this album till I came across it. This year is something that is tearing so many of us apart in all of the worst ways. Again, just look at the news. Point anything out. There's almost no good news that has happened this year. And I needed an album that is as heavy, aggressive, and downtrodden as it does feeling optimistic at the same time. And that's what Downpour provides with this album. It is just ethereal and atmospheric enough while still hitting those heavy moments. It is just fantastic. It reminds me of the album Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs that came out in 2020. Of course, that is a different style of music, but it still hits me in kind of the same way because that came out during the pandemic, the early days of the pandemic, where it feels like life could not get any worse. And once you know it, in 2025, that is exactly how we're feeling right now. It feels like things could not possibly get any worse, but it has some optimism to it to where you should not give up. It's one of those hard things to describe in music unless you're really battling mental health issues and seeing for yourself what's going on with the music, but I will describe it as if it can hit this heavy and you can relate to it, it gives you hope. And it really feels like we need that these days. We need to keep trying, and if you dig melodic hardcore, melodic metalcore, you need to check out Downpour. They deserve to be huge in the genre, and given time, I think they will be. And finally today we have Sepulture Curse with Crimson Moon Evocations. This is one I've been meaning to get to for a little bit of time as well, but I'm glad I'm finally getting to it now, because it is one of the most brutal albums in blackened death metal that I've heard in 2025. And of course, where else can you get blackened death metal like this other than Finland, combining the best elements of the haunting elements of black metal with the punching displays of death metal all rolled into one incredible album. The songs know when to go into a full-on assault and when to slow back just enough to show off some melody while never losing sight of what they're trying to do. This is a magnificent display of what blackened death metal is all about in 2025, and the band just continues to improve on every album that they do. This is easily some of the most intense music of the year so far, from its production to the heartfelt musicianship and everything in between, plus those vocals. Wow, those vocals. Yeah, this is blackened death metal, and this is the album to beat in blackened death metal for 2025. I really want to see the heavy hitters try to beat this one this year. So there you go, folks, another 20 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed. 240 albums I've covered so far this year in 2025, and we still have one more week of March to cover. So what do you think? Did I pick out some good albums, some bad albums, anything that you want to check out, anything that you're going to steer away from? Please let me know in the comments down below. And of course, make sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and make sure to come back next week when we do Out Today and What I Missed for March 28th, 2025. Until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Runquist saying, embrace the skullet.